Hello, hello, hello. I am Sheena White, one of the hosts of the Blue Collar Wealth Club podcast, and I welcome you to this strange and different solo episode from me. So today I want to talk about implementation. And I know you're thinking to yourself, well, yeah, okay, implementation. I do that every day. I implement a ton of things. I'm always doing. Well, a lot of times, and I find this with kind of when I look at my clients, because I help business owners to make more money and keep more of the money they make, right? A lot of that has to do with process improvement because your cash flow and your profitability are symptoms. They aren't the disease. Just like if you have a fever, the fever isn't the problem, right? The problem is you have a sickness, usually like the flu or a cold or whatever you're dealing with. That's the actual disease, and the fever is a symptom. So if you're having issues with cash flow or profitability, it's not the cash flow that's the problem. It's your internal processes. Something there is broken that is then creating the cash flow issue. So if, you come to me and we figure it out and then we decide, okay, we think this is the issue. If you just say, okay, cool, and then continue with the broken process, obviously the symptom, your cash flow is not going to change. So at the end of the day, you can hear all the things and you can learn all the things, but unless you do the things, you're never going to take that next step and learn and improve and have the business you want. And this is, I think, the biggest thing I see in the difference between my clients who just go gangbusters and crush, and the ones who, 6 months into our engagement are like, I don't understand, nothing has changed. Or I don't understand, I feel like I'm in the same spot. And a lot of it comes down to that implementation. Like I have one client and, she's really grown over the last, we worked together about 1.5 years, and she's really, really grown over the last 1.5 years. And literally her business this year has doubled year over year. It's a really small business. It's just her, and she has a couple contractors, but it's a pretty small business. But literally she's gone from not being able to pay herself to making more money than she's ever made. And her business has literally doubled. And next year we're talking about things that will literally, I think honestly could potentially 10x her business in one single year, which would be bananas in a lot of ways, but also in really great ways because we've laid a strong foundation and she's ready for it. So it's not just like we decided overnight, like, oh, let's do this. We strategically have laid some foundations, developed some IP and things like that now we can take to market and really, really blow it up. And that's the thing, right? When we talk about stuff, then the actual doing happens. So when I meet with her every 2 weeks, we have homework and then it's done. We have homework and then it's done. And so she's really focused on the implementation. And I think that has really been the thing that has singled her out as one of my quote unquote top clients, because it's just so easy to work with her too, because we're doing the thing and then we're seeing the result. And then we do the next thing and we see the result, like we do the next thing. And so it's really awesome. And so I would encourage you to take a step back and really be almost a little like hard on yourself, like in terms of your implementation of new ideas and maybe the things that you have paid to learn, and are you implementing them? And I'm not saying I'm not guilty of this as well. I mean, I have, current coaches and I've had mentors in the past that sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do that. So that I don't. And then the thing that was supposed to change did not. And I will 100% follow my sword that it was me, right? Because sometimes you can't do for yourself what you can do for others. And I'm totally that. And that's why I have a mentor, because I can't coach myself. I just can't. But I recognize within myself, and I'm trying to really like do the thing more, right? If I'm saying I want the business that I want, then I need to do the things that need to be done in order to have that business. And sometimes I get it. It can feel, especially when you're in the middle of it and you're already feeling overwhelmed, sometimes one more thing just feels like more work. Or like I was talking to a client yesterday and we want to 4x their business next year, right? They're about $1 million business, and next year we have a plan for literally a $4 million business. And I was like, okay, let's map it out. What does this $4 million business look like? And the main like workhorse of the business, she was a little hesitant, and I could see it on her face. And I was like, okay, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's going on here? And she's like, I don't know. It feels like a lot. And I was like, okay, I get it that all of this feels like more work. But here's the thing. If we can kind of blast through this and create the path and actually implement the things, it will be less work. It feels like more work at the moment. And maybe for a hot second, maybe for a time, a snapshot, it will be more work. But the goal is not you doing more. The goal is actually you doing less and delegating more. And in the implementation of these new processes, you'll create efficiencies, right? You'll be able to do more with less time because you've created these efficiencies. And so there's a lot of good stuff that comes from the implementation that sometimes can be a little bit scary. So one of my big things that I teach people is what I call my add to subtract. So add meaning automate, delegate, delete, and do. So thinking to yourself of your processes, what can I automate? What can I do once or set up once? Maybe I'm going to take a little bit more time to do it. That one time to set it up as an automation. So then next time it just happens, right? Setting up automations, especially using like technologies you haven't used before. Somehow I have become a Go High Level master. And I love it now, but at first I was just like, what is this? What is this thing? And why does it hate me? But now it's my favorite because I can set up an automation. I can set up a sequence, all these different things. I can help my clients to set up automations and sequences so that we can set it up one time and have it happen all the time. So what can we automate in our business? Really thinking about, okay, do I need to do this? Does a human need to do this? Can we automate it? Then the next step is delegate. What can I delegate? What can somebody else do? As long as they can do it 80% as good as you after training, then you need to delegate it to them. And this one can be hard, especially if you're really tight to your business or you have had bad experiences in the past with delegation. This one can be really, really difficult. But I will tell you, one of the first things I delegated, especially to my assistant, who's amazing. She's fantastic. I love her to death. If she leaves me, I will die. Is things I wasn't doing. Like in all reality, I'm not that huge on social media. It's just not really my favorite. I don't know why people care about what I ate for dinner. But I get it. It is the world we live in. And so my social media is generally produced by my assistant. And then it is kind of like tweaked and approved by me. And she knows what my message is. She really, we work together a lot. She's full-time at my business. So she knows everything about my business and my mission and my values and my vision. And so she hones into that and puts out amazing content. But honestly, before her, I wasn't doing it. So it wasn't getting done. So I think one of the first places that's the easiest to delegate is the stuff that in your brain you quote unquote should do, but you aren't doing. And I know when I say that, in your brain, a list of crap just spewed out into your head because that's the way our brains work. They are search engines to your memories. So think to yourself, okay, here's all these, 5, 10, whatever, however many things that I know I quote unquote should do, but I am not doing every day or every week or just consistently in any way, shape, or form in my business. How can I find someone else to do these things so that A, they get done, and B, they're not continuing to weigh me down? Because I feel like a lot of overwhelm comes from the feeling of an endless list of to-dos that never gets smaller and only gets bigger. And I feel like a lot of that endlessness comes from those niggling items that you are shooting over yourself on a daily basis, but you're never actually getting to. And you just need to be honest that you're never going to get to them. So just like let it go. Let it go, hire someone. If you think to yourself, I can't afford it, hire outside the United States. I know you're thinking to yourself, oh, that's not a great idea. Trust me, it's a fantastic idea. It's really fantastic. I have a full-time bookkeeper. I have a full-time assistant. We have a part-time video editor, and they are extremely reasonable in US funds, but I pay them extremely well in Philippines funds. The process to find them was a tad complicated. I used onlinejobs.ph, so you should do that too. Don't go to Upwork. Don't go to any of those. I had, in my opinion, they were not great. I had terrible non-success with them. When I did onlinejobs.ph, I posted what I wanted, and then we got tons of applicants, and then I ended up interviewing a lot of people and found my team now that has been life-changing for me in the sense that the things that I wasn't doing are getting done. But also she does little things, like she reminds me on my calendar every morning, like these are the things that are happening today. And if she double checks to make sure that there's no overlap, like, hey, did you know this and this? And it's like, oh, no, I didn't. Crap. Let's fix that so that we don't have an issue in 2 days. She checks my email and, reminds me like, hey, this person you need to get back to, or if it's something, she schedules all my podcast appearances. And so if there's anything podcast related, she just deals with it. And she has my bio and all my cut sheets and everything. And there's a lot of things that I couldn't do or I wasn't doing before that she's taken on, but then also, my social media, and now she's learning how to do funnels and automations and everything on Go High Level. And then I'm going to be implementing some fun dashboards and everything for clients. So she's learning how to do that, because my instantaneous thought is to do it myself, right? And I know you're the same, because this is humans. Your instantaneous thought is, I'll do it myself. But I want to challenge you to not have that thought. To when you think about something that needs to get done, instead of thinking about how, think who first. There's even a book called Who Not How, and it tells you all about this process. So thinking to yourself, okay, what needs to get done, but who can do it instead of how. And the who should not always be you, especially if you're trying to grow. I tell every single one of my clients when we very first start working together that the goal of working with me, my goal for you, is to make you completely useless in your business. And you're thinking to yourself, what? Why? I don't want to be useless in my business, but you do. Because at the end of the day, if you want to sell your business as an asset, if that is the goal, if we're building this thing to eventually sell it so we can retire, we cannot sell a job. No one wants to buy your job. They want to buy an asset. They want to buy something that they will invest in it, and then it will create a return of money to them. That is a cash flowing asset. If they have to work 40 hours in it, that's a job. They don't want that. Nobody wants that. That's terrible. So we have to get to a point where your business is a well-oiled machine, whether you're there or not there. And the only way we can do that is through proper delegation. And the only way we can do that is through implementation of delegation processes. So it all comes back around to the same concept. You have to be willing to take the risk and implement the things that are hard, and some of them are giving things up. And one of the things you really have to give up is your ego. And that, I think, is the most difficult part, is having to be the one everyone goes to. Because if you're the one in your business that everybody goes to for all the answers, it feels good, right? It feels good to be the holder of all the answers. But it is not good, because that means you are the bottleneck of your business. You are the sieve through which everything must go. So if you want to be sick for a day, then nothing happens because no one has any answers. They have no one to go to. There's a ton of bad that come from that. And so the first thing we have to do is really allow ourselves to not be that person, to have other people have the answers. To just allow that ego to go, really truly delegate, not just the doing, but also the deciding. So in Clockwork by Mike Michalowicz, he talks about this. He talks about the 4D matrix, doing, deciding, delegating and designing. And he says that a CEO's job should be primarily design work. And that if you're delegating, you don't actually 100% delegate anything until you actually delegate the deciding. Because if you are the one that everyone has to come to for the answers, you are still the bottleneck and you are still 100% necessary in your business. And therefore, you have a job, not an asset. So these can sometimes be difficult things to implement, right? Okay, so back to our ad plan. So we're automating, we're delegating. There's a lot on delegation. And maybe I'll do an entire podcast episode on delegation and how to go about it, because it is, I would say, probably one of the most difficult things that I or any business owner I work with has to deal with. So the next thing is deletion. Okay, so I was just reading an article and it talked about how truly great CEOs and, oh no, it wasn't an article. Sorry. It's 10X is easier than 2X. Great book. Okay. That's what I'm reading. It wasn't an article. And they talk about how deletion or taking it down, like elimination, is what will allow you to grow. So everyone wants to add, but all that does is create more. And sometimes more is just that, just more complication, more areas of, places where things can go wrong, stuff like that. Even Elon Musk, he was talking the other day that if he is going to build 1,000 of something in a year, he first takes out, he's like, I cut everything. He's like, I eliminate until something breaks, and then I put it back, and I eliminate the next thing, and then if it breaks, if it doesn't break, then we don't need it. And he's like, this is how we streamline. And it was a really good little video clip. If you want to watch it, you should. Where he talked about how to just really be like just cutting and eliminating and really taking things down to the almost like not necessarily the bare bones, but really just the heart of it, what needs to be there. Because in doing that, then you have this streamlined process that only is the things that need to be there, not any other fluff. And so then you can just pump it in and pump it out. And so we really have to do that in our own lives and businesses and think about what are the things that maybe you're doing or not doing that just need to be deleted off of your calendar and off of your to-do list forever. Now, this is going to be different for everyone, but really being harsh with that and saying, okay, like this is not useful. This isn't working for me. Like for me, I used to be part of a networking group that we met every single week. And I just realized it was a lot of time. Like I loved the humans that I was around and it was great, but it was a lot of time and it just wasn't where my business was going. And I needed to delete it. And that was difficult. It was a difficult decision because I had friends and, they're like, oh, we don't want you to go. And of course it was rough, but at the same token, I had to delete that in order to get that time back because it just wasn't serving me or the group anymore, me being there. So really being honest with yourself about what you need to delete. And you also need to delete your ego. And then do, right? So once we've automated, we've delegated, we've deleted, then we're left with these things that we can do, right? And hopefully, if we're going to our 4D matrix from Clockwork, most of your doing is actually in the designing of your business and where you're going and really visioneering and visioning the next step in your business and what's happening. But all of this stuff is an exercise in actually implementing the automation and implementing the delegation and implementing the deletion and in implementing the doing that is still your do. Because at the end of the day, if you write it all out and you're like, this is what I'm going to do, and you don't, then you not only aren't going to grow, but you've just wasted all that time deciding and figuring out what you were going to automate, delegate, delete, and do. So taking that next step to the actual doing, the actual implementation of whatever it is literally the thing that is holding you back from the next level you want to be in. So if I can stress anything in this episode, it is implementation. And again, implementation. Just do it already. Words of Nike, just do it. So I hope this has been a useful conversation, and I can't wait to see you next time on the Blue Collar Wealth Club.